So I'm going to take you through the Quick Tools options. Quick Tools is something that I love and I use all the time. It's a way of being able to add your patch and your channel information and all your accessories by just selecting the lights one at a time, and it automatically increments all your DMX values, all your channel information. So it's a very powerful way of quickly adding all of the attributes and data to your plan and to your fixtures. There's another method that I use for doing this as well, which I'm going to talk you through later in the next chapter when we look at the data mode. But for now, I want to show you everything there is to know about the Quick Tools options. So lesson 26, we're looking at Quick Tools. I've just gone through and updated all of the, well, most of the lighting rig. There's a few bits I haven't done yet, but just enough that I could demonstrate the power of Quick Tools to you. Quick Tools can be found by right-clicking, and you've got Quick Tools here. You've got different types of Quick Tools systems, depending on what you're doing. So I'm not going to go through all of them in detail today, but just to explain, Quick Tools is what we're going to look at in a minute, so I'll show you that more then. Quick Focus, we can create focus points. We're going to cover that in lesson 29. So just so you understand that that's a way of being able to quickly focus a light to a point that you've already predefined. Quick Light Emission tool, it's possible to make a piece of scenery glow as a light fixture. So earlier when we were looking at 3D models back in lesson 17 and 18, we had the properties menu where you could change the appearance of an object. In that place you could set a light emission as well, and I'll cover that a bit later when we get into design mode, because that'll be useful to cover. But in this tool here you can quickly patch those fixtures. So it's quite good if you've got like LED panels, and there's, a lot of pixels into small pixels that you want to patch up. It makes it very easy. Quick Image Video tool takes all of the video image inputs from an external source and applies it to an object. Quick Motion Patch tool is for instead of using DMX to control the scenery, you can use data from an automation server, and it has a different patching method. So that's for this. And Quick Rigging Point tool is, I believe, for labeling up your objects that need to be moved around by an automation system. But I honestly haven't used it before. I think there's a new feature. So I've only read into it a while ago. I haven't tried it myself. So have a play of that. Let me know what you think. So we're going to look at Quick Tools. Left click on that. And we've got some options. These options, you may notice, from the last lesson, are the same features we get when we right click and go to properties. So let me just jump into a light and show you. So I'll click on this BL1000, right click properties. And if I go into, I've got control, I've got channel, dimmer, circuit, patch, or the patch in this case because it's got a external dimmer, an extra feature. So all of those options appear here in the Quick Tools. So I've got patch, spot, channel, dimmer, circuit. So I can tick any of these and it will create a number that will be applied to that fixture. And they've got the auto increment option, which is ticked on by default, which will automatically move that number forwards as you number up your lights. Now there is a little catch here, and I'm going to demonstrate by using channel. Now in the majority of the lighting industry, in my experience, the channel number is the number that you call the light. That's its name, that's the channel number in the lighting desk. So I'd start at 1, so for instance this light down here is 1. So I'm going to start with that, I'm going to click OK. It's going to bring up my Quick Tool. So it says here, you can see just next to my cursor, next fixture, channel 1. So that's great, so I'm going to click on 1, because that's going to be 1. And the next one will be 2, right? Which is going to be up here. The next will be 1. But if you look, it says next fixture is channel 21. That's because for some reason in Wysiwyg world, it goes up in increments of the DMX count of the fixture. So that's not that helpful. So what I do, you can right click and go, I have a finished Quick Tools, but you can go to change Quick Tool options. Brings back this menu. It shows you what the next number was going to be. I don't label things by channel, I label them by spot. And then what I do is I go into my data mode, which we're going to cover in the next chapter, so it's a few lessons time. And in there you can just copy all of the data. It's like an Excel spreadsheet. You copy everything from the spot menu into the channel menu, and then that for some reason works, and the spot goes up in increments of 1. So why not? You can change this to be not an auto increment. It will just go up in ones, but I just prefer to not rely on it because it's just behaves strangely. I've also got the patch tool, which will automatically increment the patch as well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to select by clicking on these sort of three dots here. I can select the universe I want it to be applied to, which is going to be DMXA, and the offset. Now I've already got stuff on one. I haven't done a patch as yet for this production, so I'm just going to start all over again. I'm going to make all my moving lights start at universe A address 1. And then I'm going to use the patch that it creates to decide how I'm going to patch things in my lighting desk. So I'm going to click OK, and now as I'm doing this, it's going to automatically assign my spot number, my channel number, and my DMX number. So I have to do this in the order of my fixtures, otherwise it's not going to make sense. So I've got 1. Oh, data version that's because I've already got something addressed to DMXA address 1, so it's good it's telling me. I can have a look if I wanted to, but I know what that is. It will get fixed as I go through. I go to 2. So you see it's going up in 20, so now it says spot 3 DMX, universe A address 41, address 3, address 4, and you see it's adding the channel number or the spot number up there as well as we go. And then we come down here, I've got 5. If you're curious by my channeling, this is a virtual replica of how we channel things at the Royal Opera House. Only the correct way around. For some reason the Opera House we start on 1 on this side and it goes up that side, but it's a nice system, it does work really well. So now I've got to spot 9. I don't have a spot 9 because I'm starting a new range of channels. I'm going to start with 1, 2, 2. It does make sense because you got, if I had a 5th lamp on here, that would be 121 there, but I don't need it because it's just a 4 stage. So it would be 121, 131, it should be a 141, 151, and then we don't have 161, we have 162. So the idea is that I can select all my channels down the middle, 123, 133, 143, 153, 163. It does make sense. It's how I channel things. It's got to make sense to you. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. So I'm going to go with 122 because I'm going to start there and work my way along. And I'm actually going to jump this up to, well actually no, I'm going to carry on. But what you'll notice is that, of course, we've got 2 things to patch in these paths, because remember from the last lesson we added a scroller. So when I click on it, it's going to ask me, do I want to add this attribute to the intensity or the scroller? Well, actually, I'm going to put all my dimmers on a separate universe. So I don't want to do my intensity right now. I want to make it my scroller. Either way, it's just one address, but I want universe A to just be all my moving lights and all the DMX along the bar. So I'm going to go for scroller. And I could say do not ask this question again, but later on I'm going to want to assign it to intensity. So I'm going to leave this on. It does mean that every time I go across, it's going to ask me 124, and then I'm going to jump across to 131. Right, now it says next spot 125, so I need to change the quick tools. I don't want to change my DMX, so I'm carrying on in order, but I'm going to go to 131, 132, choose, I missed a scroll off there. I just addressed the wrong thing. Right, well we'll have to fix that later. Once you're rolling though, it's difficult to stop, to remember what we did. 134, 135, and now I'm going to jump over to 141. And this is when you don't want someone to disturb you when you're counting, because you think, I'm going to miss where I am. I'm going to forget that I've got a source 4 to go and fix. It needs a scroller and an address changing. And this is always when somebody phones you and says, my computer's not working, can you come and help me? Or my wife walks in and says, what do you want for dinner tonight? And can you cook it? So here we go. I'll work way along. You can watch me do this. 153, 154, 155. See, it doesn't take too long. I mean, someone out there is going to have a better way of doing this. I don't mind at all. I'm sure it is better for you. This is what works for me. For me, this is foolproof. I can see things going wrong as I go along because it gives me a little error message if there's something wrong. See, just then, didn't get my little window come up saying that I needed an accessory. So you see, it does work because it reminds me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my accessories. I've got my Chroma Key Broadway scroll. I've still got something selected. So I'm going to add my scroller to that one, and where was it? 131 down there. And right click to finish placing fixtures. and I'm going to right click on this fixture. I'm just going to do this manually. I could go back and change my quick tools, but at this point it's just the same amount of effort to change it in here, and I can see what's going on then. It's a patch. So channel number hasn't been assigned to the fixture, so it should be 131. The address won't be that. I'm going to just put it back to none, just so it's not conflicting of anything, because we haven't done the intensity yet. But I'm going to go back to my Broadway scroller. That's going to be made channel 131. And yes, this is where I kind of need to know the DMX address. What was it? It was 164. So universe A, address 164. And then there's these guys up here. So these ones I will go back and do again, because there's two of them. It'll be quicker just to do it in one go. I'm going to hover over this light here, 155, the last one on my list. So the last DMX address I did, it says patch none. Yes, got to patch the scroller. Hover over the scroller. No, I'm going to have to click on it to find out. So the last one I addressed was Chroma Key Broadway scroller DMXA address 178. So that means the next one's 179. So let's go back to my quick tools. But I could have worked that out by going back by 2, couldn't I? 179, and this will be 162. Scroller. See, it pays not to make mistakes in the first place. We're much quicker. Right. I'm going to jump back to do these Mac 500s. So I'm going to go quick tools. What was I starting with? See, the problem is once you've opened a window, you can't move the display at the back, so I can't see my number. 32. Quick tools. So it's going to be spot 32, and I'm going to carry on with my DMX addressing. I'm all in the same universe at the moment, so I don't need to worry about running lots of universes across the same bar. I may have made a mistake here by sharing it all out, but it's not a real production at this point. It doesn't really matter. 32 rather, and then 33, 34, 36, 37, and 38. And now my little trick, so I've got 41 is my next Mac 600. Now I'm 2 behind, I'm on 38, so my next fixture is 38. So what I can't do it because I've got my DMX address, but if I turned off my patch, what I can sometimes do if I'm trying to channel up everything in one go, I might go 38, 39, 40, 41, keep clicking on it until it gets there. And then I can go 42, 43, 44. And this is another method I use, is I'll just channel everything up like this. Particularly if I'm working with a lighting designer, I may have the channel numbers, but I might not have the patch from the chief electrician. So I'll do that, and then I'll edit this later in the data mode. I can just go through and just type in the patch. I'll literally just work my way through the spreadsheet on the one screen, and on the other screen I'll go through all the channel numbers and type in the patch manually. I'll show you how I do that when we get to data mode in chapter 5, which will be around about where we do it in lesson 33. We're going to look at the patch screen. But I'm going to go back and carry on doing it this way for the moment. Quick tools. Now I've already done the channels, spots rather, so I'm just going to turn that off and go back to my patch. So it's not going to increment anymore on the spot because I didn't do that. You notice here I can actually put a custom increment in. I mean, most of the lights here are going up in 20s. I think max 600 is a bit less, but you could specify a custom increment if you really needed to for some reason. There are reasons. It happens to me sometimes. Sometimes I like to leave a space because I know that I'm using a fixture as a placeholder. It might get changed. We might want to do a pre-visualisation using, for instance, a max 600, knowing that it might get swapped to something else when we get the tender through from the lighting hire company. Most of the time the lighting desk can transfer pan and tilt and colour information to a different light if it's got all those same parameters, but it might have more parameter count in that light that we don't need. So putting a custom increment in, say leaving 25 or 30 between lights, just gives you a little window that you can use if you need to. So that's a time when you might use that. I'm going to go through and just click on all these. You can see how quickly it goes. You just need to make sure you're actually selecting the right light. It's very easy to select the wrong one. There we go. Now just to finish this off a bit, I'm going to do these VL1000s at the front here, and there's one back here. The reason for that is it has a very similar problem to the scrollers. If I select spot 101 to carry along here, it's going to carry on my DMX. Once again, I have to choose between the internal and external dimmer if we've got it set up, so control and intensity. So I'm going to choose control because I want this to be on my the DMX run that I'm running along the bar, not the dimmers. So I've assigned that, and I can assign 102, control, and 103, the control. And you'll notice when we go into the DMX mode later, so in data mode later, you'll see how this is laid out in two slots. So you've got two channel 101s, one for the movement control and one for the patch for the dimmer. And it's not easy to notice what the difference is between the two. They just come up both saying channel 101. So at this point, when you're doing this, this is the easiest way to set a different patch for both, because it's really clear what they are. So I'm also going to go through now and just update my my dimmer patch as well. So I'm going to go change quick tool options. I don't want to change my spots information. I'm going to stick with what I've already put in there. In the case of the scrollers, it's assigned the channel number to the scroller, but not the light. But that's fine for now. I'm deliberately leaving that because I'm going to show you something later. I'm now going to change my universe to universe D and address 1. And I'm going to use universe D, DMXD, as my sort of house dimmers, if you like. So the house dimmers will be, I think there's 250 odd dimmers, and they begin at address 1. So I'll just keep a completely clean universe for those, just so that they're separated from everything else that's going on. So DMXD.1, click OK, and I'm just going to work my way along the bar, to be honest, because I'm going to do a soft patch when I get to the venue. So I'll just label these 1, 2, 3, 4 in order, and anything as a tungsten fixture will get labelled as such. And then when I get into the venue, I'll just do a soft patch. So I'll convert, if it's a channel 1, it might become channel, I can't remember, but it's 71 up in that part of the roof. But you'll you get those options. So I'm going to assign it to a set intensity this time, which we didn't do last time. Same thing here, I'm going to assign that to intensity. And just keep working my way along. That little ding, you get familiar with it. Just tells you you're doing everything right. And you'll notice I haven't done the booms. I deliberately haven't done the booms because I'm going to get to those in another lesson. Just because it's a little bit more complicated. I've got some tricks to how to work in that sort of view where you can't quite see everything. It's all on top of each other, side view, everything's in front of each other. So whatever you do, you're at a loss. But the process is exactly the same. I use exactly the same process of channeling up using quick tools. So this still applies. Now I have to stress, this is just one of two ways that I do this. I can either put the patch and the spot number in using quick tools, but a lot of the time I'll just put the channel number in and I'll type the patch in manually. And I know it sounds like hard work, but it doesn't. I mean, it literally takes like 15-20 minutes. It feels laborious, but I can see what's happening then. I feel much more confident about what I'm doing when I can see the numbers being typed in. And for that, I'll actually start a whole new set of universes, and I'll be talking you through that later. You set that up in the data mode, which is why I haven't done it yet. But they give you 4 by default, which is DMX, A, B, C, and D. I always just use the number 1, 2, 3, because then when you're typing it in, it's just 1.1, so that's universe 1, address 1. If you type in U1 or universe 1, because you can name them as a full name, you then have to type that every single time you want to work through the patch mode. So I can literally just go in my spreadsheet 1.1, 1.21, 1.41, 1.61, as opposed to type out a whole word. So it is really quick actually. It's not as bad as it sounds, and I can really guarantee what I'm doing. The quick tools, the first time I ever used it was when I was working on in a big arena show in Verona. There's a big amphitheatre there, which is huge, and I was doing a visualization for Opera on Ice, and there was just hundreds and hundreds of lights all over the place, and it was a really large venue, and everything was clustered together in boxes. And the quick tool was just really handy. I could go around in the isometrics view, which I'll be explaining in a bit in a couple of lessons time, just to quickly patch everything up. So it's a tool that you discover when you need it and you get used to it. I haven't finished with it. There's something else I want to show you. There's how we can add our accessories and colours and gels. So I don't have any gels in the overhead rig because these are left open white and these are scrollers. But if we just come down to our booms, just to explain, at the moment they're laid out as the plan showed. So they're nicely distributed. It's really easy to get to and really easy to see. In reality, they'll all be on top of each other in these boom slots, and no matter which direction I look at them, whether it's the front view, the top view, the side view, they'll always be overlapping another light somewhere. So it's actually easy to set them up sometimes like this, and I'll go through and explain this more in a later lesson. But for now, I just want to show you I've got Lee 202 and Lee 205 as colours that are going into these lights. So if we go into our quick tools, and we can turn off patch. Make sure you do turn things off because it's very easy, particularly in accessories, because that gets closed. You could have a colour assigned and not realise it and accidentally go through your entire project and assign colours. We've also got general details. I never really use this, but you can fill in some useful information. Like if you're going to try and automatically focus it, you could assign them all to the same focus position. It's kind of exactly the same tool as a focus position quick tool, but yeah, it's all in there. So I'm going to assign the colour, and the colour was Lee 202. Half CT blue. Don't know what the difference is between the two. I mean, they're exactly the same. They're both in the Lee swatch. Like one's designer mode and one's numeric mode. I could also apply a gobo here. So if I was going to work through a whole load of things, I could assign the lenses. I could change the lamp. So as I click on it, even as I'm adding the patch and the spot, it could be updating all of these things at the same time. So it's a really powerful tool. So I'm doing Lee 202 first, so I'll click on that, click on that. I haven't actually physically rigged those ones yet, I've left them. I'm not going to do too much of this project because it's not a real project anymore. So 9 years ago we did this. That's a 205. This is where it really helps to have your labelling really clear in the right place. And there, and there. And that one hasn't got one. And then I'm just going to jump over to change quick tool options, and I'm going to change that to Lee 205. That's a half CTO. It's a little bit warmer. Make sure I get the right ones. This is where it gets very difficult to see when everything's on top of each other, and you've got to make sure. I'm just hovering my mouse around. I'm not selecting anything at the moment, but just letting it hover and waiting for a second before I press anything, because I don't want to press the wrong thing and change the wrong colour. Cost you more time in the long run. So I'm not going to do the other side because that sort of demonstrates a point. Now earlier I was showing you the iris tool, and we added irises. In fact, this one's still got a motorised iris in it as well. So we can also jump in here, change quick tool options, turn off the colour, and we should be able to add an iris in other. Let's see if I got this right. There we go. Manual iris. One came out manual iris. Probably this one. That's one you want. Click insert, manual iris. Make sure everything else is turned off. Click, and I'm not going to do it because I've already done loads, but you get the idea. Yeah, you click on it and it will assign an iris to those fixtures. So as you're working your way along, channeling it and patching it, you can be adding accessories and colours too. So there you are. That's Quick Tools. Really useful tool. I love it. I use it all the time. Hope it's useful to you too.